Hello everyone. What I'd like to talk to you about today is the connection between art, engineering, and nature. And originally when I started this project, I was considering the connection between art and engineering. And then I had this really cool thought that would come to influence the rest of my project. And that idea goes something like this. Nature was the first artist and the first engineer. And so in this way, art and engineering are eternally connected. Cool idea, I know. So from there, I began to think about a disconnection. And I began to think about the disconnection between nature and society. About how as our civilizations grow and evolve, as our societies advance, we continually elevate ourselves above nature and above the constraints of nature. And we begin to see ourselves as distinct from and independent of nature. And this has creates a growing misconception about society's relationship, about humanity's relationship to the natural environment. And it is through this misconception that we've come to cause so much harm and bring so much harm to our natural environment. Because we've seen it as a distinct entity from ourselves, something that we could put harm on in order to create progress and prosperity for ourselves. Here's the kicker. We're really only hurting ourselves. The progress that we've made has been great, but the byproducts of that progress have been very harmful to our environment and therefore very harmful to ourselves. And so really the take-home idea is that we are connected to, derived from, and dependent upon nature as our life source. And so for this reason, it is unacceptable to destroy our natural environment. Because although the repercussions of our actions now might only be felt by future generations, nonetheless they exist. And as we continue to harm nature, we are only continuing to harm future generations of ourselves, which we don't want to do. It's not good. So, with these two ideas, with this connection between nature, the artist, and the engineer, as well as the disconnection between nature and society, I had this idea brewing about a new type of engineer, a new image for the engineer. And this image is hinged on the idea that this engineer would be what I'd like to call an artist of nature. Someone who could see beyond the purely technical and that could manipulate without harming our natural environment to create infrastructure that is truly for the betterment of all humanity, current and future. And this engineer would utilize the systems of nature. He wouldn't work against nature, but he would work with nature in order to create infrastructure for everyday life. And so I had this great idea, fermenting in my head, really bubbling, going nuts, and so my first step, I realized, would be to really look at where the engineer came from, to understand who he is today, what he's done, how he functions within our society. Because before we can really seek to change, we must first seek to understand. So the next part 2, will be about the historical background of the engineer in America. Can't wait to see you guys there.